Sunlight on the forest path, the world has quieted its sound. Just a wicker basket held in hand, walking over
Grandma's story today is very interesting, but it might be a little scary. Listen carefully. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a village deep inside a lush forest, there lived a kind-hearted and beautiful young girl. People called her Little Red Riding Hood, after the red velvet cape and hood she loved to wear. One bright and sunny morning, her mother called for her. "Little Red Riding Hood, your grandmother is feeling very ill. I have packed some freshly baked bread and wine in this basket. Take it to her. Remember, go straight there and do not wander off the path." "Yes, Mother, don't worry," Little Red Riding Hood answered cheerfully, and she set off into the forest. To get to her grandmother's house, she had to cross the deep woods. As she walked along the beautiful forest path where sunlight filtered through the leaves, flowers bloomed and birds sang, Little Red Riding Hood slowly began to forget her promise to her mother. The girl in the red hood set her basket down for a moment and stopped in her tracks, completely captivated by the fairy tale scenery. The forest felt like a giant green playground. The ground was cushioned with soft moss, and bright yellow dandelions and purple bellflowers peeked out shyly. "Hello, pretty flowers!" As Little Red Riding Hood smiled and sat down beside them, rustling shadows appeared out of nowhere. Tiny squirrels scurried over, sniffing at her basket, and a rabbit with big ears cautiously hopped onto her lap. Little Red Riding Hood gently picked a flower and tucked it behind the rabbit's ear. The rabbit was so delighted that it started hopping in circles, and the little squirrels got excited too, busily climbing up and down the branches. Soon, the forest was filled with laughter and joyful commotion. Little Red Riding Hood made flower rings with her friends and even became the leader of a hide-and-seek game, tracking down the squirrels hiding behind the trees. When the wind blew, the flowers seemed to sway and dance along. Little Red Riding Hood hesitated for a moment. It's time to go to Grandma's house. But looking at the sweet little animals resting their heads against her shoulder, this time in the forest felt like the warmest, most magical moment in the world. As dusk fell, Little Red Riding Hood reluctantly said goodbye to her friends. "I'll come back to play tomorrow, my beautiful friends." She picked up her basket again and walked away with a light step. Looking back, it felt as though her forest friends were waving goodbye. Just then, a large wolf emerged from the bushes. The wolf was starving, but upon seeing Little Red Riding Hood, rather than eating her right away, he devised a cunning plan to capture both the grandmother and the child. "Hello, little girl. Where are you heading?" the wolf asked in his softest possible voice. Unaware of how dangerous the wolf was, Little Red Riding Hood replied, "I'm going to my grandmother's house. She is sick, so I'm bringing her some bread and wine from my mother." The wolf smiled again and said, "Isn't your grandmother's house far away? Look over there. That field is full of beautiful flowers. Wouldn't your grandmother be so happy if you made her a bouquet?" To Little Red Riding Hood, that sounded like a wonderful idea. "Yes, Grandma would love it if I gave her flowers." She wandered deep into the forest to pick flowers. Meanwhile, the wolf dashed along a shortcut and arrived at the grandmother's house first. "Knock, knock." The wolf knocked on the door. "Who is it?" came the grandmother's weak voice. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf replied, mimicking her voice. Believing it was her granddaughter, the grandmother opened the door. Without hesitation, the wolf swallowed her whole in one big gulp. He then put on the grandmother's nightgown and lay in bed, waiting for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive. A short while later, Little Red Riding Hood arrived holding the bouquet of flowers. "Grandma, I'm here." Approaching the bed, she was startled. Her grandmother looked completely different than usual. "Oh my, Grandma, why are your ears so big?" "All the better to hear you, my dear." "Grandma, why are your eyes so big?" "All the better to see you, my dear." "Grandma, then why are your hands so big?" "All the better to hug you tight, my dear." "Then why is your mouth so big?" Revealing his true nature, the wolf roared, "All the better to eat you in one bite." In an instant, the wolf swallowed Little Red Riding Hood whole as well. Completely full, the wolf lay back down on the bed and fell into a deep sleep, filling the room with his loud, thunderous snoring. Just then, a hunter passing by the house noticed the unusual snoring and stepped inside. Seeing the wolf lying in bed, the hunter instantly realized that the beast had eaten the grandmother and the child. He carefully pulled out a pair of scissors, cut open the sleeping wolf's belly, and safely rescued both the grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh, that was so scary!" Little Red Riding Hood cried. The hunter, the grandmother, and Little Red Riding Hood worked together to fill the sleeping wolf's belly with heavy stones. When the wolf woke up, he stumbled from the heavy weight, collapsed, and could never get up again. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood made a promise to herself. She would never talk to strangers again and would always listen to her mother. Finally, Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother happily shared the bread and spent a peaceful afternoon together.
Dandelions and purple blooms, a rabbit hops across my shoe. Little red cape is all I wear, with flowers tucked into my hair. No need to rush or be afraid in this happy forest glade.